Left of the box. So there's been some updates to the postal strike here in Canada, and it didn't end the way that we had hoped. Kind of the way I was expecting, though. And so we'll get a bit into it. So this is from Global News saying a death trap striking Canada Post workers explain the job toll on them. As Canada Post workers remain on the picket line, and so this was before the update. A key point of contention in their demands is what they described as a growing physical and mental toll amid increasing pressures on workers, more extreme weather, and whether to expand health benefits. In Canada, we don't really have universal health care. We have some universal health care, but if you have mental health needs, if you have needs for like hearing devices, glasses, dental, medicine, all of that, you kind of need health benefits. If you need physiotherapy or something of that sort, you need health benefits. From delivering parcels through scorching heat waves to battling blizzards, Canadian postal workers increasingly face extreme weather conditions that strain their bodies and minds. In recent years, climate change has shown a bit of a trend, said Bram Eslin, a local president of QW Saskatoon Local 824. There was an ice storm and we had a rash of injuries, Inslin said, added, referring to the storm last year in Saskatoon, members that broke their hip just by going out there. Enslin, 41, has worked at Canada Post for 16 years and says the extreme weather brought on by climate change, whether it's inhaling smoke from wildfires or delivering mail during storms, has added significant physical and mental pressure to their jobs. And that's one of the reasons postal workers are demanding more support for these challenges and their new contract, he said. The strike has been going on since November 15th, when Canada Post workers officially walked off the job after failing to reach an agreement with the Crown Corporation. Since then, negotiations between the workers' unions in Canada have continued to break down. One of the workers' demands include improvements to health and safety, such as lowering the maximum weight employees are required to lift or carry, and ensuring the company provides snow tires for vehicles. Are you saying the company wasn't providing snow tires for their vehicles, this Crown Corporation in Canada wasn't already supplying snow tires? Hell yeah, go on strike. What? Like in Quebec, it's actually law that you have to have snow tires in the winter. So I guess there they would have the snow tires, but in Ontario, maybe not. Jim Gallant, a negotiator for QW, said workers are also demanding better health benefits. We haven't had an increase in things like dental or medical benefits in decades, and we're looking for increase in those, he said. He added, for instance, we've got a dental fee schedule that's up to date, but the amount that we're allowed to spend per year hasn't gone up in decades. Stephen Tufts, an associate professor focusing on labor market research at York University, said better medical benefits are needed for a healthy Canada Post workforce. Being a postal worker, it'd be very hard on the body. Those letter carriers work very hard, he said. Sorting mail on your feet is very difficult, so having good benefits for postal workers is quite important given the nature of the work. Also, workers are calling for measures to address climate change, such as negotiating and developing standards for working in extreme temperatures and weather conditions. In an email to Global News on Tuesday, a spokesperson from Canada Post said the health and safety of its people remains their top priority. In the past few years, alongside QW, we have put a strong emphasis on prevention measures regarding workplace health and safety incidences. These discussions take place on a daily national level and on the local level with team leaders and representatives of the local Joint Health and Safety Committee, the spokesperson says. By the numbers, so this is actually a super long article, but I just wanted to get to some of that, but I'll put the rest of the article into the sandbox for people if you want to read it. As climate change leads to more frequent wildfire seasons and rising temperatures, workers told Global News they want company to be better prepared for changing weather and prioritize health and safety. Philip Salt, 60, had been working as a letter carrier with Canada Post in Penticton, BC for the past 8 years. He says he's still recovering from whiplash sustained last December when he fell and struck his head on concrete while on the job. Although he finished his shift after the fall, he later had to go to the emergency room and was diagnosed with whiplash. Ouch. These surfaces can become dangerously slick, icy, or damp conditions, making them even more treacherous during frosty mornings and potential safety hazards. Something a lot of people might not even think of is the smoke from the wildfires and how that would impact them and how damaging that is to the lungs and health. And we know that effects on smoke, you don't get that immediately. You don't necessarily notice it right away, even though some members do report going home coughing and having bronchial issues. But that's something that can happen over time. Injuries on the job. The union has demanded the full elimination of Canada Post's separate sort from delivery system, which entails certain employees spending the entirety of their shift sorting mails for letters and carriers to go out and deliver, as opposed to carriers performing both tasks. Previously, postal workers would sort their own mail before going out to deliver it, and Ensign said this would help break up the repetitiveness of the day. Canada Post said it implemented the separate sort form delivery system in 2017, and it is now in place in 164 facilities. This allows us to meet changing needs of Canadians while reducing congestion inside and outside of our depots, creating a safer workplace for our employees, the spokesperson says. But Ensign says this system overburns carriers, forcing them to spend more time outdoors and potentially exposing them to extreme weather. Instead of dividing the tasks, letter carriers walk in entire shifts, putting additional stress on their hips, knees, and legs, leading to a lot of repetitive stress injuries. Mental health aspects. In addition to physical demands, being a letter carrier also takes a toll on mental health, Ensign explained. The job requires long hours, often in extreme weather conditions, which can lead to stress, burnout, and anxiety. And this mental health has been something that we have been trying to champion over and over, he said, adding, this has especially been an issue for workers since switched to separate sort delivery. He says this initiative had led many members to quit as the workload continues to increase. Like, to say their strike was justified is putting it mildly. And this is from Leah Gazan. She's an NDP MP. We will always stand with the workers that are trying to protect Postal Services. Canadians rely on what we will keep fighting for negotiating settlement for QPW members to make sure Canada Post jobs are good jobs. And this is from the Labour critic, Matthew Green, who is the Hamilton Centre NDP MP. And the NDP has been better on, supporting striking workers. Matthew Green in particular has been really good on that. But not all NDP are alike. Jagmeet Singh has not spoken to workers in a long time. He has not resonated with them for a long time. All of this is a mess, and Trudeau made this mess. This is from the statement. He's been sending a message to employers for years that they don't need to negotiate, that they can act in bad faith, and the federal government will use their powers to send workers back to work. That's wrong. That's a violation of worker rights, and it has to stop. A new Democrat government will reform the Canada Labour Code to remove the possibility of Liberals and Conservatives screwing workers over. Canada Post workers are fighting for fair wages, safe working conditions, and the right to retire with dignity, basic rights that every worker deserves. They're also fighting for the future of our public post office. Instead of using their power to ensure workers are respected and the services are improved, Liberals have been taking the side of Canada's post management and their allies who want to close post offices, slash jobs, and make it harder to receive your mail. Canada Post is a public service and should not be parceled off to private interests so rich people can get richer. It all belongs to all of us. An NDP government won't let that happen. We will always stand with the workers that are trying to protect the postal services Canadians rely on, and we will keep fighting to negotiate settlements for QPW members and make sure Canada Post jobs are good jobs. So about that, federal government orders end to Canada Post strike.
Today I've used my powers under the Canada Labour Code. It is my view and the view of the FMCS that the parties are at an impasse. I have asked the Canada Industrial Relations Board, if they also determine that there is an impasse, to order Canada Post and all employees represented by CUPW to resume and continue their operations and duties, and to extend the terms of the existing collective agreements until May 22nd, 2025. During this time, an Industrial Inquiry Commission will be established. Mr. William Kaplan will fill the role of Commissioner. He is an experienced negotiator and has a clear understanding of Canada Post and its union. The Commissioner will be tasked with examining the structural issues preventing the resolution of the current labor dispute. The IIC will be required to submit a report to me and the parties outlining their findings and recommendations by May 15th, 2025. The review could provide the basis of a path forward on how to amend the collective agreements and clarify the structures, rights, and responsibilities of the parties in collective bargaining. The inquiry will have a broad scope as it will examine the entire structure of Canada Post from both a customer and business model standpoint, considering the challenging business environment now facing Canada Post.